We'll be back, and many thanks for sticking around to Smart Links Business. We are here, Joram and Andrew, in the morning to kickstart off your day, and we remind you that, well, it is something that you should as well understand fully in regards to moving with the business world. But as we are reminding you to move with the business world, investment should as well be in your mind. As you kickstart off your day, you should be reminded that Zabo is a platform that is available for you to kickstart off your investment. Use the USSD code *292# to kickstart off your investment with the Zabo platform. Register using your national identification number, and after you're done with registering, you will be able to invest in the next 24 hours. The minimum amount of money for investment is just 15,000 Ugandan shillings, and you can easily kickstart off your investment in the long run. Zabo says, my money, my future. And Alltech East Africa reminds you to do something new. Well, with something new can you choose to do today is using the Zabo platform to invest and grow your investments. Well, at this particular time, we start off this hour by having a look at our business tips and our business quotes. This is for motivation and inspiration purposes as we kickstart off your day. All right, a leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. That is the quote that we've had this morning. Our focus now turns to the social media trends. In our international news this morning, we had the details regarding India surpassing the United States economy by 2075. And that is something that was trending on Twitter in India in regards to our social media trends. Now let's turn our focus on that to see what really were the Indians having on their timelines.
This is at Speed and Tube. It says that by 2075, India's economy could be the second largest in the world, and that's according to the forecasts of the American investment. By the way, and interestingly, it's
the American investment.
Goldman Sachs. Very interesting. Yeah.
And by the way, when you look at some of the statistics in here, in this tweet shows China will reach $57 trillion. India will be at 52.5 trillion. The US will be short of that by 51.5 trillion. And then the Eurozone will be at 30.3 trillion. Surprisingly, the Eurozone is actually showing the European countries. The European countries' economies are stable when you come to think of it. They are not too strong, but there is a way they've stabilized their economies, and they're worth living in. Japan, 7.5 trillion. Currently, Japan's economy is stronger than India's economy, by the way. There is a way Japan has actually, maintained its level in the economy. Manufacturing, tech, by the automobile industry is actually, and they have huge market on the African continent. Japan and everything. And their economy, by the way, also the other room is their population is not so high to at least cause a headache for them. And the Russian economy is not mentioned in by the Goldman Sachs.
It's political.
This is a bit of, indeed. CNBC says Goldman Sachs says India will overtake the US to become the world's second largest economy by 2075. well, that's a long one. Still 2075, most of the India's richest men, like Ambai, you get to realize that most of those particular ones, I don't think those ones will be alive by that time. But at least their empires will be still alive.
Yeah,
will still be active,
standing.
really.
Very true. This is an India tech guy. This says India to become the world's largest economy by 2075, surpassing the US in nominal terms. You see, you realize that the biggest aspect here is they didn't talk about it being on top of the world or what, but surpassing US is the bigger deal.
Yeah.
I mean, probably that's what they have been working for the whole, ever since they got independence. We need to take over the US. We need to take over the US. Because when you take over the US, it's like a coup. You've taken over the world.
But the most exciting part of it is the fact that the Indians are really happy about this, and you would definitely have to be. The marketing motivation at marketing_motive says India will become the second largest economy in the world by 2035, surpassing not only Japan and Germany, but also the US, stated a Goldman Sachs report on Monday. Currently, India is the world's fifth largest economy, behind Germany, Japan, China, and the US.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, they really have a great advantage when it comes to tech. Because they are really good at mathematics.
Yes.
I was told. Actually, I was the times I worked on a certain hotel for the Indians. They told me, man, we're good. The way he said it, we're good at mathematics. I mean, the way they could calculate these numbers.
Yeah, they're really good. Even when it comes to their health sector. I think the only challenge they have as India is population.
Yeah, the big population.
The big population. Yeah. But when it comes to business management, they're really good people. When you also look at the current UK Prime Minister, who's very good with the economics, Rishi Sunak is someone coming in from India as well, from the Indian heritage. Amit Malivia says by 2050, India's real GDP will cross the consolidated GDP of the EU, adjusted for PPP. Now, India's GDP would be 3 times of the European Union. Then by 2075, China, India, and US are expected to be the largest economies in the world in that order. So China, India second, and no other country would be close, according to what is actually estimated by the Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, let's wait and see. Actually, India is one of the countries that were really affected by the COVID. Remember that second wave that came in through. Yeah, now this is at, okay, he says he's been celebrating this news in 2025. India will overtake the United States to become the world's second biggest economy by 2075, says Goldman Sachs. But anyway, Goldman Sachs is one, it's like the way you see the Morgans, the JP Morgan, they have this influence in the States about what they say, and they are known, they don't take sides. That's one thing I've learned about them. This is at, could we get that back? Okay. This is at Meg Update. I'm seeing, yes, India will overtake the United States to become the world's second biggest economy by 2075. Goldman Sachs emphasizes on that. This one says, laugh out loud. Most reading this now won't be alive in 2075 to see if it actually happened. But I think well,
anyway, but you can contribute. When he says most of them reading it, they can still contribute.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
to that happening, because the mere fact that by 2050, most of us, hopefully, we shall really be alive. But when you look at the kind of situation is by 2050, if the Indian economy will have surpassed that in Europe, and now will be directly competing with the US and China, clearly shows you how much by 2050, or what it will really mean for India.
To the world, or probably we shall have a world of countries like India. I've never had them into military operations or war, because
they're strictly into the business part.
Strictly into the business.
And one might say in Uganda today, they actually also are holding a percentage in our private sector. So clearly, I think this is time we start learning a few things about business management, really, especially.
People are really,
actually, they know how to run business, really.
I was speaking to some this US dude. He had in Indian origin, and but he doesn't really much associate with the Indians. He said, I don't like these people. They are men, first of all. But one thing I know about them for sure is that they are good industrialists. He said it with the passion.
He's actually right.
It's like,
because last year when we had an Indian, there was an Indian symposium around UMA, there's one thing that, caught my attention was the fact that everyone who was exhibiting, it was a business in India of 5 years can become an industry out of the blue.
How?
Most of the businesses that were there weren't even 10 years old. But when you look at the structure back home in India, they are industries.
My goodness.
So it is very easier for them to expand. They have that element of growth in them. I think it is very easy for them to grow a business in just a span of 2 years. However much we are entrepreneurs, Ugandans, but it takes a while for a Ugandan business to expand and grow into an industry. Or a big, or a big talking point. Most of businesses stay in the same lot for not even 3 years, they close.
And sometimes we just, for them they are so much more, they work as family because they have this aspect of honesty.
Exactly.
Them, which we don't have. In Uganda, we're a bit self-centered. It's a hard truth, but it's true.
Theirs is family. I think
family
the closest got to Indians may be the Muslim families. Because Muslim families, when you look at the businesses of the Muslim community, what they do is they first of all empower their family members. After you're done empowering your family members, you start building a chain of businesses that is rotating around the family. Because when you go in Chikubu, most of the businesses that have survived for years are either having a Muslim, and when you go to arcades, most of the chains of businesses that are still there for 5 to 10 years are owned by Muslim family, because they know how to pull strings to help each other, brothers, siblings, relatives, and everything. I think it's something that we should pick out, especially from the Christian brotherhood, really.
From the Christian perspective. Oh, it's different.
So it's something, indeed, it's something that we really need to look at. As we move further in our business trends, though, we now talk personal debt management. And of course, one would ask, why do we fail to pay off business debts? I think there's a headline I've seen as well on the New Vision saying most of the government workers
are heavily indebted.
Yes, they lose their salary to loans. So it's like you're working
to pay a loan.
You're working to service a loan. For example, you've earned, maybe you got a job today in a government entity. You want to buy a car, you go in for a loan. Obviously, the bank will say, which company are you working for? I'm working for this ministry. They will definitely know that's job security, first of all. They will look at your contract and they will know in a space of 2 years, your salary, we would have got back our money. You want to build a house, you go in for a loan. Now, the time span of your contract, you're servicing a loan. And by the end of the day, you will lose your job and you have nothing to show.
And even the loan, what you were pursuing for the loan, you don't get it too because it ended in there. That is absolute frustration. In this discussion, one of the members of parliament was mentioning Robert Kiyosaki. I think he's the one who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. Those books which they told us
to read if you want to.
Vacation, told us get it. But surprisingly, he was also he filed for bankruptcy, and I'm saying, oh my goodness, what is happening here? He filed for bankruptcy, Robert Kiyosaki.
But I think when you look at also businesses failing to pay off debts, I think it's a very big thing eating up our businesses.
Most especially in Uganda.
Because I was told when you look at most of the shops we have in the arcades, you're supposed to pay 6 months.
6 months advance. Not three. Actually.
Most of them are 6 because most of the business owners who set up these arcades have also got loans somewhere. So they want to rush
get money
before the bank takes over the property and auctions it. So most of them are told to pay 6 months
in advance
or 4 months. And the shops are close to 1.5 per month. So you're either having to pay close to 6 million before. Now you've got a loan to buy capital. To
buy
the starting, business,
the capital, the products.
Yes, the starting products. Down the first 6 months, you haven't made that much the profit.
You can't make it
because you have to first make returns on the money you've paid for rent.
Exactly.
If you can't make the returns, then you definitely know you're likely to face it rough. After 1 full year, no money to service the rent.
You're actually borrowing more money to invest back.
Exactly. The capital is not feeding you well. You have more expenses, more bills.
Yeah.
In the long run, you're only under debt, and it's so stressing, really. I've actually seen most people actually having to share these particular shops.
Sub-rating.
Sub-rating so as to, at least to get back the money.
There.
And it's difficult.
And if God helps you and you get somebody who's sub-rating and getting some money, because majority of I don't know why people, what they think about is fashion all the time, which is okay.
Boutique business.
Boutique business.
I think it's just the plight because they know Ugandans want to wear clothes, but is it having return on investment?
And high-end boutiques don't really make money unless you have a name for yourself.
When you've built an established
brand.
big brand,
but go downtown and hustle there.
Well, this particular update rotates around personal debt management, of which we shall have an insightful discussion later on in the Business Insight on the same matter. But first, let's get this.
I wish you had read the books of Robert Kiyosaki, these American Japanese original, of course, is from Hawaii, and Hawaii was full of Japanese, so he's an American, but of the ancestor of Japanese. So if you read his books, The Quadrant and then The Poor Dad, Rich Dad, you would see, why do you have to borrow if you have no discernible plan, business plan? Discernible, let me repeat, discernible business plan. You see, in my own times as a young boy, my grandfather chased away and beat up someone who had come to tell him that he should borrow money. He was beaten, my grandfather. I am his first grandson. He beat him because about 40 years ago, anybody who went to a banker to borrow, people thought you were either bewitched or crazy. Why should you borrow? Why should you borrow? There are pressing issues. Yes, you can borrow fine, especially of late, and these financial institutions will come with all sorts of lures telling you, you can't develop without borrowing. No. I have done my little businesses without borrowing. For now, I've borrowed. When I borrow like Kiyosaki advises, I shouldn't pay myself. My business should pay. Or some other institution must pay my service, my loan. This is the craze with which our people, the spendthrift I think we have in this country is what is causing trouble. What is causing trouble? Then, like I said, the discernible plans of business. When I finished Makerere University in 1991, the first business I began with legally was a school. I didn't borrow even a single cent. The secondary school still remains there. I created a primary in 2007. I did not borrow even a single cent. It is there, all of them. They are the ones making me what I am. I have other businesses. From there, I bought land. I did what? Here in Mukono. The land I own, I never borrowed anything. 2 acres here. I never borrowed anything. No, I don't. But if it is for business, yes, I've gone to banks, Centenary. It is my bank. I can borrow, put in a business. That business should be able to pay back. Not me. But that is after I've made proper business plans. That, yes, I'm borrowing 100 million. My business is for 100 million. I will be making earnings per month of 5 million. And maybe 2 or 3 million must go for servicing the loan. That should be the case. But, Ugandans are getting into a trap. Should I tell you what? My own constituency, my own area in the east is worse. People have run into Kenya because of loans. Somebody goes to a money lender who charges 50% per month. 50% per month. You get 100, you are supposed to pay 150. I mean, where do you get that money? Ugandans must learn simply to reject loans, simply to reject these lures of financial institutions. I've lived without loans, and here I am, 58 years down the road. 58 years. Where were the banks when I was poor? Where were they? When I was poor, on the roads, when I was fetching water, when I was making Kabaragalat University here, selling Kabaragalat in the streets here, where were those banks? And you tell me today, yes, we will give you at, and most of them will you. They will say 3%, you say you think it's 3%, you add up per year, you are somewhere very far, and you fail. Yes, but if it is for simple borrowing, simple little money which you can pay, which can assist you, but you know that it is coming from somewhere else to pay, that one is okay. But simply getting money for the sake of it, no.
It's not the reason. I disagree with that entirely. Why do I disagree? By the time you approach this money lender, this credit facility, you knew exactly the interest rate that was demanded. So how do you turn around later after using the money? How do you turn around to say, you know what, your interest rate became high? You were sat down and explained, and you were convinced within your mind that you shall be able to utilize this money and pay it back as required. There is no amount of excuse you can play for rejecting paying back the money that you took and used. So that one, you need to convince me in another way. It is just indiscipline of the highest order. And what I call the breakdown of societal morals, basically.
All right, and of course, the two members of parliament putting it in serious context as to why we are at this particular level in regards to personal debt management. As we're heading to a break though, remember that the ZAP markets are now officially open. They open at 15 minutes of 8 o'clock, and it's now time for you to invest and keep investing. 15,000 Ugandan shillings is what you definitely need to have if you want to invest in government bonds and other securities. Zabu, my money, my future. Autox East Africa reminds you to do something new. Well, which something new can you do today? Choose investment in government bonds and other securities. The markets are only fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future. After the break, when we return, we have sports business and the letters from the world of entertainment business. Stick around. Good morning.